Hi, friends. Welcome back to Self Worth Club. I'm your host, Zoe. This is the podcast that is all about redefining success, embracing your imperfections, and finding your voice in a world that often tells us who we should be and what we should do, right? So, today we're talking burnout. And I know, when you think of burnout, maybe you picture someone who is completely at their breaking point, right? Totally exhausted, fed up, ready to walk away from absolutely everything. That's the image that a lot of people get. Burnout is this big crash moment in our heads, right? It's just like train wreck. But here's the thing. Burnout doesn't usually hit us like a wrecking ball. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It's more like a slow leak in your car tire. It is a gradual depletion that we may not even notice until we are completely drained, until that tire is flat and you're on the side of the highway. It's like, to give you more analogies, a phone battery. It's running low. Your phone keeps telling you it's running low. You keep ignoring it, hitting okay. You're like, I'll get to a charger when I get to a charger, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's dead in the middle of the day. And you really need it. And you're like, oh, I should not have ignored all of those warnings, right? Burnout is a lot like that. By the time we realize it, we're at 1%. It's too late. You can't just quickly recharge and keep going. So I wanted to talk about this today because it's something that so many people go through. It's a cycle that is so familiar to so many of us, especially as women in business, which most of you listening are. And I want to help you see those red flags and catch it before you're fully in it. Otherwise, that cycle is going to just repeat and repeat and repeat. And let's be real. None of us have time for a full breakdown. None of us have time to be out of commission for 2 weeks and trying to piece things back together, right? So if we can spot these signs early, we can help ourselves not hit the wall. And trust me, I get it. It's a cycle I've been stuck in so many times before. I used to regularly fall into it. And for example, there would be times where I would get super into whatever new project I was working on. I wanted to create content daily. I was just go, feeling like a freaking superhero because I was just so focused, getting so much done every single day. And that would mean late nights, early mornings, skipping lunch without even realizing it, saying no to things because I knew I would be so busy with work, but I was just so consumed, right? Again, feeling just so jazzed, like a superhero. And I thought that's fine, right? More than fine. I was getting so much done in these times. I was just tired, But slowly, you start to get snappy at the people around you. Your screen time is really high. You're ignoring all those warnings. You're focused on work when you should be focused in family time later in the day, things like that. I started losing interest in things that I normally loved, and even the smallest tasks that were outside of what I was really focusing on felt super overwhelming and frustrating. I don't know if that sounds familiar, but all of these things creep in those cycles. And when they would come, I definitely wasn't taking note of or even wanting to acknowledge it. I just thought, it's fine. I'm getting so much done. Again, like I said before. It wasn't one big moment of, oh, I'm burned out. But a slow realization eventually that I was running on empty and that I was there. right? So another common feeling around burnout is when you're just moving through the day, kind of like you're in a fog. You're doing what you need to do, but you're feeling really disconnected and disassociated. And technically, you're getting it all done, or most of it, and it's like you're going through the motions doing it, though. That's another cycle I've been in. And I didn't even recognize it as burnout at the time. I just thought, like, this is what life gets like. This is what life looks like when you're super busy. It's just a season. But then you're so drained, you're out of commission for weeks, and looking back, like, I can see all of the red flags that I missed, right? So with that, I want to get into red flags that you should watch out for so you can catch them as they first start popping up and not once you're like, oh, there's 30 flags I've been ignoring and now I need to rest for a month, right? So number one is emotional exhaustion that just doesn't go away. Feeling tired every now and then is normal, right? Especially as a woman who has cycle and rhythm to things, our energy ebbs and flows a lot. Learning about that is a whole other ballgame that is very helpful. But if you're feeling drained after a really good rest or, taking the weekend off or something like that, that's a sign that something deeper is going on. And emotional exhaustion can look like a lot of different things. It can look like constant irritability, lack of interest, feeling disconnected from the people closest to you, being negative all the time, just finding the negativity, feeling like you may have lost control. Maybe you have a constant, lingering anxiety and anxious voice in the back of your head, more than usual. And it can also look like losing interest in activities that you really used to enjoy. All of these things are signs of emotional burnout that you should be on the lookout for and evaluating regularly for. Now, burnout flag number 2 is resentment. Resentment is definitely a silent red flag of burnout. If you feel like you're building resentment towards work projects, clients, family, loved ones, don't ignore it and just push on. Don't blame them. Stop and take a look at what's going on. My hope here is that me just saying these things to you, next time it pops up, you're not going to be blaming that person, right? You're going to stop for a second and be like, wait, Zoe said that I might be blaming other people. I'm feeling really frustrated at this. Is this truly a time for me to feel frustrated, or am I more irritable than usual? And you can dig a little bit deeper into that, right? I'm trying to get those wheels spinning, those red flags to pop out at you versus being in the background and just minimized. So, like I said, don't ignore it. Stop and take a look at what's going on. What specific situations are triggering you here? And take a second also to consider your boundaries around these things. Maybe you don't have any, and there really should be one. Or maybe you are just feeling extra irritable. There's other stuff going on, or you're getting close to burnout, or there's that certain part of your cycle where you're snappy at everything, right? Learn more about yourself, about your triggers, about where you need boundaries. This is super helpful in combating burnout. Setting boundaries is a major, major tool when it comes to this. And I'm not going to get super into boundaries because I have multiple episodes where we touch on it. One specifically is more recent. It's episode 27, and the title is Talking Boundaries, Baby. Lots of gems in there. And then I also have a full 5-day boundary building course. If you're I am absolutely clueless, teach me everything I need to know. That's an amazing foundation, and then just has a bajillion activities. But anyway, yeah, resentment is red flag number 2. And red flag number 3, feeling numb plus other behavioral signs. So we went over emotional as number 1. This one is behavioral. So you might start to feel like your efforts don't matter if you're getting into that burnout cycle. You're like, why try it all? Nothing I do is working. Nothing I am doing is enough. Or you could start to find it hard to start tasks and follow through with tasks, like lacking that focus and concentration that you once had. Or maybe you start to withdraw altogether. You're saying no to hang out with your friends. You don't feel like you have the energy for activities that you usually do, or that that hype you up, that sort of thing. And listen, I'm going to pause for a second on the red flags, because I want you to know now, literally now, is the time to really think about what you might have going on that's draining you. And it doesn't matter if you're feeling just a couple of the signs, none of the signs, all of the signs, like the timing. I want you to get into the habit of constantly, almost daily, evaluating what's going on and where you are emotionally and physically and in your boundaries and all of those things. I definitely suggest, like I said, like frequent, like a little daily check-in. But I think like an in-depth monthly check-in is a really awesome tool that you can start soon. So this would look like sitting down in the last couple of days of the month, looking at what you filled your schedule with over the last few weeks, what all do you have going on, what projects happened, what activities did you do, all that sort of thing. Just like jot down, kind of brain dump style, what you had going on in the last month. And then maybe in a different color or however you want to do it, note down, what did you love, what did you like, what did you tolerate, and what felt hard, what didn't you like to do, what activities, what projects, what type of work, that sort of thing, like what was draining to you. And then consider what the next month is going to look like, the one coming up in a couple of days. If you have some of those same things on the list that you noted you were just tolerating or that felt hard to you, felt draining, make a plan right then to shift. Can you do things differently? Can you approach it differently? Can you ask someone for help or delegate it to someone else altogether? Can you cross it off the list even? Is it really necessary? Is it really worth it? And in addition to this, I would absolutely take some time to plan things for that next month that you love to do. Make sure that things from the previous month that you noted, like, loved that, get added on to the next month, or variation of it, right? Maybe you're not completing the exact same work projects over and over again, but like if something made you feel excited, like take that as a note to bring it a step further, to go deeper into it, to pick up a book on the topic, whatever it is. It could even be filling it with more fun things. You went to the farmer's market last month and you absolutely loved it. Like, put it in your calendar for a couple weekends in the upcoming one. Like, it can be simple things too. This end of the month evaluation and planning for the new one is something that you should take time for every single month. And it can be very simple and to the point, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. Just dump things out, like I said, play music, put on a movie in the background, grab a fun drink, I don't know, a snack, make it a vibe, and make it something you regularly do, because this is going to help you so much in breaking out of that cycle. And then, like I said, it would be really good if you just had like a daily quick check-in with yourself. If you're feeling a little bit tired, maybe think about what have I been doing the last couple of days? Like, what's been taking all of my energy? How can I shift? And back on track for the last 2 burnout red flags. The fourth one is physical symptoms. So burnout often shows up as physical symptoms, like frequent headaches, muscle tension, digestive issues, getting sick, like catching colds more often, having a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. These are all signals from your body that it is time to slow down. And if you're starting to feel these red flags, you should try switching it up and getting some regular movement into your routine. That can be something super helpful. Or like I said, just evaluating for the other flags and seeing like, where do I need to shift things around here? But when it does come to the regular movement, you would be amazed at what starting your day with like just a 20-minute walk or some mindful breathing can do for you. It really makes a world of difference. And you may not feel like it at first, especially if you're already deep into that burnout cycle. But doing things that support your physical well-being are really great for warding off further burnout symptoms, because you can go deeper into that hole, right? So those are the red flags that I wanted to share with you. I thought I had one more, but I think I scrapped it and combined a couple. So when I said two, I meant one more. I also, when we were talking through them, gave you a few little tips, but I want to get a little bit deeper and round out this big sister advice sesh we have going on boundaries, on burnout, My brain has stopped working because it's 8:30 and I am super pregnant. Also, my dog has been the most distracting. I left the door open, which I should not have done. He just brought me this ball that makes the worst whopping noises ever, and he is soaking wet from being outside in the rain. So if the video gets cut, you know why. Alright, so the first thing that I want to touch on here is the pressure to keep moving forward. Knowing you, the type of person who listens to this show, I know that you are ambitious as hell. You want to have a fulfilling personal life and career. You want big things for yourself and for your family or your future family. And you probably also feel like your self-worth is tied either a little bit or a lot of it to your productivity, right? So I want you to really soak it in when I say this. You are worthy of those big goals, regardless of your productivity level each day. And you are going to get a hell of a lot farther giving yourself grace when things go wrong and when you're feeling drained versus always pushing yourself to the breaking point and pushing on. Next time you feel like you're not sure whether or not you should push on, because this is a question I get a lot from clients. It's hard to tell, like, am I just a little tired and I should complete this thing? Like, should I just move forward and then take my rest? Or, like, do I need to, cut it now, take a break now, switch things up currently? I listed out some questions, kind of like just like a flow of how I would think you could evaluate this in your head, questions you can ask yourself. So, ask yourself, is what I'm feeling right now some of those burnout red flags? If I keep pushing on at this pace, will I crash and burn soon? Or is there another factor at play here? Am I just a little tired from fill in the blank? What do I need to do or prioritize for the sake of deadlines? And what can I move to tomorrow or even spread out next week so that I can take a little breather now? This self-evaluation is super key in knowing where you stand, where your energy levels are at, and what you can and can't take on in your immediate future. And that is, the whole of staying out of burnout. So next, I want you to visualize something with me. You have a piece of paper in front of you, and there are 7 dots on the piece of paper. These are the days you have in a week. Say you have to erase one of those dots, cross it out, scrap it. Now you have 6. And that feels like not a lot of time left, right? You only have 6 days left to do what you need to do. But now imagine you look back down and there are 30 dots on the paper. And you have to mark off 4 of those for rest. it doesn't look so bad, right? You have a lot of time left. Okay, then again, you look back at the paper, and now there are 365 dots on the paper, one for every day in the year. Marking off 50 or even 100 of those for rest won't really seem like too much either. When you're looking at all of those, you're like, wow, I still have a lot of time left, a lot of days left. So, lastly, I want you to visualize this. You look back down again, and on the paper are 1,825 little dots. It's the next 5 years of your life. How would it look to scratch off 500 of those days? 500 of those 1,825 dots. Really not bad. You would still have 1,325 little dots left on that piece of paper. That's so much time. When you take the time to zoom out, it really puts things into perspective. And perspective is everything when it comes to your mindset and when it comes to giving yourself what you need and giving yourself grace. You have the time to take a day or two off for yourself when you need. And you should be doing that. Imagine the flip side of this scenario. You don't take the time to rest because you're only looking at the 7 dots and thinking, I can't, there's no time. That's all you ever look at is the immediate future. So you don't take the time that you need, and then the next month, you're deep into that burnout cycle, and now that one day you could have taken to rest has cost you triple the time that it would have if you had just given yourself the grace in the first place to pause when you needed it. And now when you finally come back at it, come back at your to-do list, come back to work, you're feeling upset at yourself and you're lagging. Which is going to do more for you in the grand scheme of things? Which sounds better? I'm sure you said resting, right? Resting when you need it. Because it's like, duh, of course. Of course, that's the better option. So why is it so hard for you to do now? Why don't you do it? Why aren't you giving yourself that? I want you to sit on that thought for a while. Come back to it after the episode even. Write it down that you need to think about this because it's important. All right, next I want to give you a list of quick things that you can implement to start to untie your self-worth from your productivity and help you get out of that burnout cycle and stay out of it. So first is a quick daily gratitude list. This is something that you can dump into a phone note. You can keep a little notepad by your bedside. This is a great place for also acknowledging small wins. So a daily gratitude list, can be very simple. It's like 5 things. I'm grateful for the roof over my head, my dogs, the clean sheets that I'm in right now, the dinner that I had, and for the business that I've created, right? They don't all have to be broad. They can be very specific. I'm grateful for getting to go to the farmer's market today. I'm grateful for the ability to paint my walls whatever color I want, things like that. And then acknowledging small wins, again, very simple. Small win could be, I did all the laundry today. I posted content today. I checked 2 things off my to-do list today. And when you acknowledge small wins along the way every single day, it is just flipping a switch in your brain. It is really, really, really helpful in boosting oxytocin and keeping you motivated naturally so that way you don't have to push so hard to stay motivated, to keep going. It's going to feel good. And there we are really combating the burnout, right? Because moving forward feels natural and feels good because you're acknowledging yourself and your wins. The next thing is taking micro breaks throughout the day. So trying not to work for more than a couple of hours straight get up every once in a while, walk outside, grab a snack, get a coffee, do some mindful breathing exercises, like look up a little YouTube video, run an errand, whatever. But research shows that even 10 minutes of these little breaks throughout your day are very, very helpful in managing stress, boosting your motivation, and helping you come back even stronger. Just like when you need a day, it's better in the grand scheme of things that you take that 10 minutes and reset rather than trying to push through. You get all foggy, you're hungry, that's all you can think about, you keep getting distracted. It's better to just give yourself a moment and give yourself time to get that one quick errand done or, grab the snack so that way you can just come back refreshed. We're often like, oh, I just have to get this done, I just have to push through. Like, no, you don't. It's going to be so much better work, so much better everything if you just pause for a second. It's not the end of the world to pause, to take a break. And you should be doing that for yourself. Another thing that can seriously help you avoid burnout is making an end of day routine, making your end of day work wind down a priority. So this can be one thing or a few things, a whole routine that you do every day, and you can switch it up if you want. But this is just something that you do to signal to your brain that the workday has ended. You can put it away, save it for tomorrow. This can be things like taking a shower once you're done, washing your makeup off, dumping out your to-do list for tomorrow so that way it's off your mind and out of the way, writing out your gratitude list, or even making yourself a mocktail or a cocktail at the end of the day, putting on your favorite show while you make dinner, something that just makes you feel like, okay, this is my list of things I do when the workday's done. You're signaling again that you've reached the end and now you get to just hang out and rest and recharge. This separation is really helpful, and I highly recommend utilizing your phone's do not disturb features. If you're there's a couple people that have to be able to reach me, that sort of thing, emergency thing, there's settings for that. There are people that can still call you. You can organize specific modes to turn on so that way the really important emergency people can reach you, or certain notifications can come through if they have to, if you have to see them, be available for them, right? There are ways around this, so don't just say no. And then last but not least, focusing on things that you can control. Because when so much in your work and in your life is chaotic and outside of our control, it is really important that we find somewhere we can call the shots. So again, these can be simple things. It can be as simple as tuning into how you're feeling and being intentional about what you say yes and no to. So when someone asks you to do something for them and you have no bandwidth, or there are plans made in advance and now it's coming up and you're I just can't, I'm not excited to do that. I actually do not want to do that at all. I want to do this instead. And this is something that's going to help me recharge instead. There's no shame in saying no and rescheduling. And anyone who means anything to you, who you mean anything to them, right, vice versa, they're going to understand. And another thing with that is you could also just finding things you can control. This could be as simple as cleaning your space, organizing your space, finding ways to declutter. That is also a form of controlling what you can control. And when you organize your space and do things to declutter and things like that, it does wonders for your mental health, right? If you know. So that's it for my little tips and tricks on catching burnout and stopping it before it sets in. I have a couple more things before I let you go. First, I want to remind you that burnout is not a reflection of personal weakness. It is a result of overextending yourself and letting the pressure that society places on you really weigh you down. You have the power to stop this cycle for good, and you are more than worthy of making it happen. You need that reminder. You need to let that soak in. Next, don't forget to check in with yourself today and really regularly so you can make changes before you're burned out, right? Schedule in that monthly evaluation as well. Literally put it in your Google Calendar. It is such a helpful tool. I want to also thank you for tuning in to another episode of Self-Worth Club, and to remind you that you can reach out to me anytime. You have my Instagram's in the show notes. You should have it by now if you've been listening. I say it every single time. But you can reach out, DM me, share your own experiences with burnout. Let me know what you thought. Ask me questions. I also have the self-worth support line open, so if you want to DM me or email me a situation that's going in your life that you want coaching on, I will read it on the podcast anonymously. I won't say your name. And I will give you coaching on this topic. I will give you tangible tips and tricks, just like I framed the other episodes, so that way you can move forward. And I'm sure you'd be surprised, like, so many of us go through the same things. Like, you sharing your experience and what you're going through is going to help someone else feel less alone and get the tips and tricks they need to move forward. And so you're helping yourself, but you're also helping many other people, I'm sure. And the last thing is, if you're someone who's looking for support and reclaiming your energy, maybe you feel like your business is putting you in a constant state of burnout and you need help finding a really sustainable path to success, I want you to check out the Burnout to Breakthrough method. I'm going to leave the details in the show notes for you so it doesn't get too long explaining this whole thing, but really amazing for business owners experiencing those cycles of burnout. Check it out. And I will see you back here next Friday morning. Bye.